It is finally time. After spending the past several years of my life talking about the remake mods on their way to Fallout 4, I was actually able to play one. As today what we're talking about is the Point Lookout DLC for Fallout 3. This being recreated by the mod project recreating Fallout 3, Fallout 4, the Capital Wasteland project. As we've heard from them over the past year or so, their plan was to first remake and recreate the Point Lookout DLC and release it as a standalone before the entire Fallout 3 remake, and as it stands right now, it's in a closed beta test and absolutely phenomenal. I was able to play some of this. It is currently still a work in progress, but largely feature complete, and this is really something special because it's our first glimpse at a full-on recreated Fallout 3 experience in Fallout 4. So with this standalone Point Lookout release, it's taking place during the time of Fallout 4. You're playing this as Fallout 4 sole survivor, not as the Fallout 3 protagonist. So you'll see that familiar riverboat show up in Fallout 4's Commonwealth, and you'll take a trip to Point Lookout. From there, it is functionally the exact same thing. It is a remade, recreated Point Lookout and all of the other content that comes with Point Lookout just at the time of Fallout 4, which honestly doesn't mean that much of a difference. A couple of the quests had slight edits, but largely it was Point Lookout. And this was something really, really special. It was really my first time actually getting to play one of these remake mods, seeing all of the recreated things from weapons, armors, creatures, remade quests, actors, all of that come together in just actually re-experiencing those quests you played for the first time over a decade ago. So as it stands right now, of course, this is in a closed beta, so it's not open for all of you to play for yourself, but really what I want to do with this video is give you some of my first impressions and just show off how good this looks. The reason it's largely in a beta form right now is because they're waiting on voice acting. There's still some bugs here or there, but largely the features are all here. You can play through all of the various quests, find all of the various items from Point Lookout. That content is already implemented, with one of the big things remaining being the voice acting, because they do have to re-record and custom voice all of the characters. So as I was playing this during the beta form, sometimes you would hear this robo voice.
During a special, Punga may have offered you wisdom, but it looks like it's still going to be a while before you really learn to accept it. Until then, you answer.
Sure.
Although several other NPCs are custom voiced and it sounds really good.
I knew it. I knew that little bastard was behind all this. After all these years, he stuck his head out, and this is my chance to cut it off. Figuratively speaking, of course.
But otherwise, when you're playing this, it is literally Point Lookout in Fallout 4's engine. You have the riverboat show up in the Commonwealth, you're tasked with finding Nadine, you have to buy a ticket on the riverboat, and then you get crazy nice cinematic. This world space was really cool in Fallout 3. I think Point Lookout actually being the coolest of the DLC world spaces, but in Fallout 4, it just looks way better. Visually, this is a huge upgrade. And of course, from a gameplay perspective, an even bigger one with Fallout 4's overhauled combat systems, weapon modification, etc., etc. So from there, after walking around the world a little bit, I just kind of started doing Point Lookout's main quest. And what you quickly find is just how much custom content is coming together here. Over the past several years, this mod team has been releasing a ton of standalone content for Fallout 4. And playing through this mod, you are able to see so much of that coming together and actually creating this very unique, great looking, and custom experience that is, of course, super familiar. You'll encounter a ton of updated NPCs, models. It's not like they're just using the Feral Ghoul model from Fallout 4. They actually remade those in the Fallout 3 style, same with Protectrons. A ton of the weapons from Fallout 3 being reintegrated into the world space of Point Lookout. And playing this, it gave you that first time Fallout experience all over again. Seeing some of the iconic weapons from Fallout 3 and more notably Point Lookout being used by NPCs or sold by vendors, and you want to buy every one and test them all out. The first time I went to a vendor in this, I just ended up buying a ton of content, and you have to kind of take a moment back to be like, oh yeah, this is basically all custom made content for this mod. Of course, some stuff is reused and repurposed from vanilla Fallout 4, but a lot of it is fully custom, including the fan favorites with the swamp people that you'll encounter all throughout Point Lookout. And one of the pretty crazy aspects about this as you're playing through it is just how accurate of a recreation it is. Like as you're doing some of these quests, if you played Fallout 3, you might remember a couple of the secrets or little workarounds that could pop up, perhaps custom options that aren't typically there. And many many of these are here with this mod, whether it be a powerful weapon that you could easily miss if you don't go down a certain corridor, or again, a unique option that you have in gameplay. And of course, all of those unique weapon rewards you get from various quests and their bonus effects. With Point Lookout, I feel like the world space was easily one of the coolest parts about this, and as I mentioned before, it really is just brought up to a whole nother level with Fallout 4's updated engine. I'm using an EMB in the background, but not having that green tint yet still having the beauty of Point Lookout is really something special. But of course, the other aspect of this that is extremely notable are the quests of Point Lookout. The main story quest was okay. One of the specific quests during that main story is super memorable, where you have a bit of a trip and interesting experience in a Fallout game. But then of course, some of these side quests from Point Lookout are some of the best side quests in Fallout 3's DLC overall. And although all of the voice acting isn't yet complete, so for some of these you will get that robo voice, everything else pretty much is. This is going to be one of those things that I think when it drops, you're just going to get a massive nostalgia rush if you played it. And if you've never played Point Lookout, if you missed out on Fallout 3 overall, maybe came to the franchise later, this is a perfect way to experience it for the first time. It is such a faithful recreation of what was there in Fallout 3. I don't even really think you're missing a whole ton. And really thus far playing it, it is exactly what I hoped it would be. It's that Fallout 3 experience, except updated to Fallout 4's engine and all of the benefits that come along the way with that, both in the terms of gameplay, but also from a visual perspective. This is definitely something to look forward to. I think when this releases, it's going to be a really special moment for Fallout 4 modding overall. But until then, here's a couple of clips of it all coming together so you could actually get a perspective on what is to come.
In the mood for a bit of violence.
What was that? There you are.
And it's a weapon of gruesome distinction. Enjoy it. DIT, you.